We are live. I go by Osiris. This is Middle MAGA. The channel used to be stuck in the middle, and then it kind of converted over, took a turn. I'm going to get the Rumble stream going, and then we are going to go live. Rumble's not live yet. I'm going to bring Rumble in, and then we are going to go right into the ADL. And really, it's about the First Amendment. Sliding it into a holiday Friday weekend-ish, Labor Day weekend. I am a sucker for a smooth beat. For like a chill beat like this, I'm a sucker. All day. Okay, I think Rumble, yes, Rumble's going up right now. Thanks for joining. 1A is greater than 2A. This came up a little bit. We were having a debate about this on a live. I was doing that live stream. That discussion with Nightwing, you can go to the channel. It just happened a couple days ago. And we were talking about the First Amendment. And the First Amendment is not only is the pen mightier than the sword, it's way mightier than the sword. And you could argue that there are other countries taking over our country, and there's organizations helping them, and they're not raising a weapon. They don't need to. TikTok is a weapon. That's all that is. TikTok is 1A, basically speech, the realm of speech. So when I upload a video on TikTok and the video says, what does it mean to be a LGBTQ ally? Does that mean you only have sex with Democrats? That's literally the whole TikTok. Not that it's a great TikTok, but I have the right to put it up into the town square, and they take it down. But if you want to trans your kids, boom, promote it, and you can run. You're off and running. Dylan Mulvaney was a nigga before he turned on, put on a dress, started looking like an anorexic Mayor Pete, and boom. Now, don't get me wrong. Dylan is a talented social media user, but that algorithm, he took that algorithm and rode it to success. Obviously, if he had put on that red hat, that algo would have been a lot different, even if he put on the dress. The ADL. Well, let me first go into the First Amendment. I actually, right before I went live here, Christian Pethukov, if I pronounced that rightly, caught me up late. Yes, squashed the ADL, just another cudgel of the left. And yes, the music is nice. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. That's an epidemic soundtrack. They're dope. They're dope to avoid the copyright issues, even though the stream is not going to get monetized. Obviously, with the topic matter, it's a little sensitive. People are a little sensitive about it. Some quotes from the Founding Fathers. Let's take a look at this here. First Amendment. James Madison, the people shall not be deprived or abridged of their right to speak, to write, or to publish their sentiments, and the freedom of the press as one of the great bulwarks of liberty shall be inviolable. In the context of that, as Madison was often referred to as the father of the Constitution, and of course free speech is, that's why they made it number one. It wasn't an accident. Thomas Jefferson, one of the most amazing people in history, much better than Alexander Hamilton. Thomas Jefferson says, our liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. And that's all these platforms are. Benjamin Franklin, whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. He didn't say that you would begin with taking the guns. That would be next. That's why it's 2A. That would be the next thing. You squash the speech, and really you want to squash the speech of the people who are saying, don't take the guns. And then you go take the guns. George Washington, if freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. I always mess that up and say lamb to the slaughter. Did that get twisted in history, or not that it matters? Patrick Henry, the liberties of a people never were nor ever will be secure when the transactions of their rulers may be concealed from them. And those are some of the quotes about the First Amendment. And we're going to get that in the context of criticizing the Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League does an awful lot of defamation. There's a lot of defamation in the Anti-Defamation League, and we'll get to that. Let's look at what happened today on X, or it's actually over the last couple days. It was trending today. I didn't see it yesterday. But this will capture the scene. Anti-friend of show, Jonathan Greenblatt, had a tweet, and he had to protect the tweet. Hey, John, why'd you protect this tweet? You can. I'm not saying he can't protect it. And even in a free speech environment, I think there is no guarantee that you need to reply to a tweet. You can quote tweet it. You should be able to reply to the tweet. And you can quote tweet it. Jonathan Greenblatt says, I had a very frank plus positive, productive conversation with Linda Yaccarino yesterday about the X platform, what works and what doesn't, and where it needs to go to address hate effectively on the platform. I appreciated her reaching out. These people are so sly. He just wanted to get it in there like, I didn't reach out to her. She reached out to me. He didn't have to put that in there. We didn't ask for all that, John. I mean, it's fine if you want to give us information. But he appreciated her reaching out, and he's hopeful that the service will improve. ADL will be vigilant and give her and Elon Musk credit if the service gets better, and reserve the right to call them out until it does. Let's just say people weren't really feeling this. That's why he had to go ahead and lock those replies up. Josie, the redheaded libertarian, states, Jonathan Greenblatt, the CEO of the ADL, is of the position that the very real attacks on white farmers in South Africa are baseless claims by right-wing extremists, particularly white supremacists. So if you have concerns, if you hear, I haven't really even done a segment on this. I don't know why. It just didn't really move me. But there's that, what's it called? The Boer group? I forget what they're called. The Boer. I don't know how to pronounce that. Kill the Boer. And I'm not an expert in them, so that's probably why I don't even get into it. But they were on video basically saying, unlive whitey. Or it's not Boer, but the Boer are the white farmers. So they're basically saying, they're basically chanting, unlive whitey in South Africa. And that my take on it was, I did reply on X, and my take on it was, okay, don't bring that ish here. I don't know. Y'all do what you do over there. That ain't got nothing to do with me. It's South Africa. But some people, understandably, I'm not against you I'm not against you if you hear somebody in another country say, unlive white farmers, and you have a concern. Trust me, I'm not against you. I'm just like, it's not America. Just don't bring that stuff here. We got problems here. I'm not worried about y'all. But here we go with the receipts. Jonathan Greenblatt, I like how she color coded this. Jonathan Greenblatt says, we have observed the recent debate over the song. Are we debating it? It's on record. I mean, it's confirmed. Unlive the Boer. While it is a historic protest song that called for the dismantlement of the racist apartheid system in South Africa, its crude lyrics could be interpreted as a call for violence. Such rhetoric can prompt real-world consequences. This is true in the physical world. This is true on social media, including X. At the same time, baseless claims of white genocide have been made by right-wing extremists in the U.S., particularly white supremacists, for years. Such wild charges have been used to excuse hate, to justify harassment, and to rationalize violence. Why couldn't you just say that? All you had to do, Jonathan, was say, unlive the borer, that ain't it. That's all you had to do. That ain't it. No, I had to go the extra mile. Ban them? So what happened is people replied, they retorted, and here's one of the major retorts here from Keith Woods. It's time for Elon Musk to ban the ADL from X. And I'll stop before I finish reading it. Just to be clear, I'm not for banning the ADL from X. I don't support that. But I support the energy, though. The energy behind the people who want to, or just using this phrase, because I don't think everybody using the phrase, because what's happening is big accounts that are against the ADL have got it trending. So if you want to ride that wave of the algorithm, you're probably going to have to use that same phrase. To ban the ADL of X. Since Musk's takeover, the ADL has been using this platform to damage his reputation and promote advertiser boycotts. This is all true, which have cost the company billions. The ADL claim that no one's legally protected right to political speech extends to private platforms like X, so why should it tolerate users working to make its business model untenable? Here's ADL. Today we are joining dozens of other groups to ask advertisers to pause Twitter spending because we are profoundly concerned about anti-Semitism and hate on the platform. Here's why we're asking advertisers to stop hate for profit and stop toxic Twitter. And that is the definition of cancel culture. I did define cancel culture. Let me just check real quick if I can find it real quick. And I'm trying to define these terms of what I mean. And it pisses my wife off because she's like, you can't make up your own definition for these words. I was like, the hell I can't. I just did. You don't have to abide by it, but I just did. And let's see if I did an article on cancel culture where I did a definition for it. So I should be able to find it quickly, and watch me not be able to find it. Here we go. My definition of cancel culture. An action. So, well, let's look at Wikipedia's first. Wikipedia's definition of cancel culture is a phrase, and cancel culture is very important. I might digress for a second. I mean, that's what the ADL does, is their business model is cancel culture. That is what they exist to do. So it is very important. This term, you might be like, well, it's cancel culture, one of those corny ass terms that's overused and cliche now. Yeah, I agree with that, but it is very important though. Wikipedia's definition, cancel culture is a phrase contemporary to the late 2010s and early 2020s, used to refer to a culture in which those who are deemed to have acted or spoken in an unacceptable manner are ostracized, boycotted, or shunned. I do not like that definition. That is not the definition that I am using. Here's what I mean by cancel culture. An action that extends beyond personal boycotts. You can just stop it right there. I went on for, I don't know, maybe 50 more words. But I'm using ChatGPT, but you could stop it right there. And that took me a while to do because I went into ChatGPT and I was like, I don't like, and I put in this Wikipedia definition of culture, cancel culture. I said, I don't like it. Ask me questions. I answered probably 20 to 30 questions from ChatGPT where it says, well, which words don't you like? Or what's your view here? And I just do voice to text, put it in, and then it gives me a definition. Then I say, I don't like this part. Rewrite this. And this is what came out. An action that extends beyond personal boycott. So that starts out by saying a personal boycott is not a cancel culture. So ADL, if you just choose not to participate in Twitter, then you can go on somewhere, and I appreciate you exercising your right to not be on X. but that's not enough. Characterized by actively attempting to influence or dictate the decisions of others. So it's not good enough for the ADL to themselves not use Twitter. It's not good enough for the ADL for them to say, I don't use Twitter on a different platform, obviously. I don't use Twitter. Here's why. It's not good enough for them to not use Twitter, then say, I don't use Twitter. Here's why. They have to go into, you can't advertise on Twitter. Now they're getting into cancel culture, which is just a nice way of saying a business figuratively wrapping their hands around the neck of others, figuratively, to make sure you do what they want you to do. If you don't like this YouTube channel, go find a different one. If you don't like X, go find a different platform. You have that right. While a personal boycott, I went into just detail, but you could stop the definition right there. While a personal boycott involves an individual's choice to abstain from supporting a product, service, or entity, cancel culture seeks to impose that choice on others. So now they would go and say, it's hateful to go on Twitter and support and buy Twitter Blue or support the app in any way. Impose that choice on others, often urging third parties to sever relationships or affiliation. I'm actually proud of that definition. That's cancel. I did a whole article on that too. Go to middlemaga.com on the blog and you'll find it. So let's go back to the ADL. What is the ADL? I'm going to go back to the Breakfast Club. We're going back to Charlemagne the God. Is Angela Yee still on there? I don't know. And DJ Envy. A recent example of intersectionality battle. This is the ADL on the, I'm not going to play the whole video, but the part where they say who they are. It was within 30 seconds they had this battle of intersectionality. Here's my identity. Here's your identity. I believe this is the right clip of, in his own words, this is Jonathan Greenblatt.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlemagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League.
Jonathan Greenblatt, welcome.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
How are you, man?
I'm well. How are you guys?
It's kind of hard to make that hype, to be like, you know, like I was recording a show on Patriots of American Republic. I went on with Carlos on that channel, so you know, I tried to get hype and like, hey, I'm with Carlos. So you got Jonathan Green. How do you make that sound hype? You guys, exciting news. With me, I've got Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL. Let's go.
DJ NV, Charlemagne the God. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League.
Jonathan Greenblatt, welcome.
Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
How are you, man?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Yeah, blessed, black, and highly favored.
Doing pretty good.
There you go.
So let's
I have to stop it every time I hear that. I'm blessed, black, and highly favored.
start off. What is the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League?
Well,
What do you do?
What do I do? So the Anti-Defamation League, let's just step back. It's the oldest anti-hate organization in the United States. It was founded in 1913 after a Jewish man was lynched. He'd been falsely accused of a crime, wrongly convicted, and ultimately the mob tore him from his jail.
I'm not going to get too sidetracked, but maybe I'll do a segment on that conversation of that incident that he's talking about.
It was founded in 1913 after a Jewish man was lynched. He'd been falsely accused of a crime, wrongly convicted, and ultimately the mob tore him from his jail and they hung him from a tree. And while the corpse was still hanging from the rope, they all gathered around, the town did. They had a barbecue underneath the body. They took pictures and they turned the photographs into postcards.
Sounds familiar.
I was going to say, like, lynchings happen to young black men and black women very frequently in the same.
So he went on, and that's basically the gist of it. They just say they're an anti-hate organization. To me, there is no such thing as hate. It's just all relative. You could say, I'm hateful. Okay, I could say, you're hateful. What does that mean? We are under no obligation to have the same definition of hate. And in fact, if we don't have the same definition, then maybe we should peacefully separate and do something else. Donald Trump was one of the most Jewish-friendly presidents and Israel-friendly presidents that has ever been. Probably number one. Remember the Abraham Accords? Kush was involved, and to my knowledge, hopefully I'm going to get into this later. Donald Trump is going to run away with the nomination. It looks like it's a wrap. The ones that the memesters of the Dilly team have coined Booger Bob, they called him Booger Rob because it went from Ron DeSantis to Rob DeSantis. Why? Because they could do it. That's why. So they call him Rob to be disrespectful and funny. And then they called him Booger Rob because he's always rubbing his nose and stuff. And then I was like, well, you guys are effectively turning his name from Governor Ron DeSantis, like one of the most esteemed governors in the country, and he runs for president when we told you don't do it. You have the right to, but we were warning you what was going to happen. I can say we because I would remember Milo did that on Timcast. Milo was like, basically, I'm paraphrasing, bruh, don't do this. This is not the right time. Remember when he said Ron DeSantis had the personality of a wet noodle or something like that? That was such a great episode. And he was obviously, I didn't really follow him like that because when I saw Ron DeSantis, he was doing the COVID forums. He was excellent. All the forums he did, he was excellent. And the press conferences where he does a little bit of talking, then lets other people talk, excellent. So that's all I really saw of him, and then good policy. But to see him campaign now and then going back and looking at how was Andrew Gillum ahead of him, you can see why. But the Abraham Accords, they are a series of normalization agreements between Israel and several Arab nations. Israel, the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, Morocco. Key figures involved: Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and I'm not going to name everybody here, but as you can see, everybody representing their countries there, and it kind of normalizes relationships. I think it was probably overplayed. I wish I had the comic Dave Smith quote from Timcast. He laid it out really well, but I still think it was. It's good policy from Donald Trump to try and create some type. That's diplomacy, not war. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with sending money over there, but I have no problem with diplomacy. That's all that was. But then Jared came back. I don't know how Saudi Arabia was involved, but he ended up getting that $2 billion investment. But that's the Abraham Accords, one of the, as you will see here, Jonathan Greenblatt himself admits that Donald Trump was one of the most Jewish, Israel-friendly presidents out there. Let's hear from him.
It is certainly true that Donald Trump has a Jewish son-in-law and a Jewish daughter. He has Jewish grandchildren, like he does. I mean, he has a closer relationship to the Jewish people than any other president in the history of the United States of America.
Really?
By the way, the Abraham Accords, bringing together Israel and the UAE and Bahrain, that was a great thing, not just for Israel, but for the whole region. And, he called out anti-Semitism on college campuses. That hadn't happened before. Those are good things.
That's not a good thing. I'm not going to digress into that. I've talked about it before. He passed this legislation to make it a hate crime or something like that on college campuses. It was not a good thing. Continuing on.
And yet, he brought white supremacists into the White House. He trafficked in the kind of divisive language that not only alienated and terrified Jews, but lots of other minorities, from the Muslim ban, to what he said about Latinos, what he said about black people. He, from Charlottesville, when he said they were fine people on both sides, to telling the...
The Anti-Defamation League went with the Charlottesville lie. I'm telling you, that Charlottesville lie, I would like to know the numbers of how many people that red pilled, because I was one of them. That was probably before, because I always go back to COVID 2020 as my red pill moment when they said, remember, protest was bad, going outside was bad. And then all of a sudden, it was after Floyd, protests are good. If you're going out for Floyd, it's good. If you're going out for something else, and doctors and scientists signed off on that. But before that, that Charlottesville lie was probably my biggest red pill. Because I heard them saying it on MSNBC and all that, and I thought he had probably said something racist, or not racist, but like, like that was poorly worded. And I was like, I assumed that, like, yeah, he probably slipped up or said something crazy where he was meaning something else, because Trump always did that. Then I actually listened to the clip, and I was like, they're flat out lying about this man. Why would they need to? Why? I'm like, there's so many things you could criticize about him, and you're flat out lying. And so not just MSNBC, it's coming from the Anti-Defamation League. Their name is Anti-Defamation. Defamation. I want to sound like Jon Stewart, but in reverse. The name is in the lab. The name is in the organization, and they're defaming. It is a lie. They're lying about Donald Trump. A known lie. We all know. People who follow this, everybody, you all in the chat, know that's a lie. And this organization that wants to define what hate speech is this hate speech?
When you said they were fine people on both sides?
Is that hate speech? If you don't define that as hate speech, then I don't know what your definition is, and you have no business talking to me. If you don't know that that is a flat out lie.
About Latinos, we said about black people. He, from Charlottesville, when he said they were fine people on both sides, to telling the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by, to telling the
He went with the Proud Boy line. Stand back and stand by. Metalopoly in the chat, what's up? Metalopoly says, remember when they claimed Trump was overfeeding the koi fish during his trip to Japan? Yeah, and I didn't know that one either. I didn't know that one until even way after. Way after. He was just copying what he was doing, right, at that moment. Forever. I haven't looked at that in a while. Every time he went overseas, it was if it's a legit criticism, I have no problem of criticizing Trump. But this stuff is flat out lying about him. That stuff gets me heated, because now I need to know, why are you lying? And multiple times. He dumped out the whole box of food, but they cut out the part of the clip where, yes, so I got to go look at that. I got to look at that if I can find it real quick. I don't think. Let's see. Some of those old clips are hard to find. Nope, I can't find it quickly. But that's absolutely what happened. It wakes people up to what's happening. And rest in peace to Shinzo Abe. He dumped out his box first, and they got Trump. Clipped him out of context. Metalopoly says, wonder what that green-black guy from the ADL would say if one of the Breakfast Club asked him what happened to the USS Liberty. They never would ask him something like that, but it'd be funny. Of course not. But this conversation, I've broke that down. You know what? I think I broke that down in like a 25-minute video. That conversation with the ADL and the Breakfast Club, because it was fascinating. I think I broke that down, and I ended up not uploading it for. You'd be surprised at how many things that I've done, and it just didn't upload. I don't know why. I just didn't like it or what. But yeah, thanks for stopping by on a Friday or Thursday. My mind's already on Friday. My mind's already Friday. We're gonna do a little last hurrah for summer this weekend. Hopefully everybody has a good Labor Day weekend. I know a lot of y'all are gonna be skipping out on Friday work or whatever. I took off Friday, so I'm not gonna go too late, but I don't have to get up early. But Metalopoly, man, you've been fiery lately, bringing up the USS Liberty. You've been fiery lately. So the USS Liberty was the incident where I believe there was a Israeli plane that attacked a U.S. ship. So Israel ended up, apologizing for it and all that. This is back in, I don't know, mid 60s, whatever, 66 or 67. But Charlemagne the God is very smart. I guarantee you, he knows all about that, or a little bit. I don't know a lot about it, but I know a little bit. And the topic, I bet you he knows. He's a very bright dude, Charlemagne the God. Stay safe, y'all. William Healed. Thank you. So that's him right there going at Donald Trump.
These individuals who rampaged through the Capitol on January the 6th wearing Camp Auschwitz.
So you wonder where all this stuff comes from. So he rattled off the Charlottesville lie. Then he goes into the Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. Like what? It was very awkwardly worded, but what did you think Trump meant by that? I mean, stop. And then J6.
Sweatshirts? Like some of them had shirts that said 6 WME. 6 million wasn't enough. And he told them afterwards.
You know, that might be unsavory, but it's not illegal to say. And you've got to defend the speech of stuff, even if you don't like it. I haven't dug into, they're talking about 6 million didn't happen. I haven't dug into that, so I default to that whatever the standard position is and admit I'm ignorant on it. When I was blue-pilled, I was like, yeah, we landed on the moon. Of course we did. No, I looked into it, and if you think we landed on the moon, 6 out of the 7 times that we tried, the first 6 out of 7 times you tried, I can't help you. That's how crazy it is when you look into just the probability of that happening. I have the right to say that. So if they want to look into something and have an opinion, if you think the earth is flat, you got a right to say it. I think it's a bizarre theory, to say the least, but I fully defend your right to say so. So you attack things that many people probably don't like and you get cheers, including ban the ADL. So I don't like the hashtag. I use it to, how are you going to ride the algorithm of something that's probably, I don't know, it was trending in my echo chamber, but I think it was actually trending nationally too. So maybe they aren't, I don't know what's happening with that. But I don't agree with the statement. You defend the speech of the speech you don't like. Elon even said that, even though he doesn't practice it in action.
And he told them afterwards that he loved them.
Yeah, that part really hurt you. That part really hurt you when Trump said, I love you. It was, I think that was in the speech when he tried to tell people to stop, if I'm not mistaken. And afterwards, he told them that he loved them. That one hurt you.
They were great Americans. So
how do you punish that level of white privilege? That's a different level. It's easy to punish like the comedian or
how do you punish? Do you hear the irony of this comment? He's on the show to argue that the ADL doesn't punish anybody. And in the conversation, Charlemagne the God is basically on his knees, licking his boot, saying, how do you punish this?
a rapper, but how do you punish that level of privilege?
I think the whole country's still trying to figure that out.
Is that an admission, Jonathan? So can Ye get his bank account back? So Ye got canceled, bank account yankums? Yup. Come here. Bank account closed. And they go on the Breakfast Club talking about, how do you punish people? Punish people? What are you, the judicial system? What do you mean punish people? Who are you? That's the person that wants to create, and you think X app isn't important. Those are the people manipulating and moving their chess pieces and how to get onto the X app. Everybody from Katie Hobbs to Dr. Fauci wanted to control the X app. Probably even more than Facebook and them. let Ye get his bank account back. Can Nick Fuentes get his? Well, I don't know if he's still canceled from bank accounts. Can you re-up that video that got taken down from Nick Fuentes? Now that I've heard an admission from you, I'm not making any claims. You said that. You were talking about how to punish people. What did you mean by this? What do you mean?
He told them afterwards
Okay.
that he loved them,
That one really hurt. Yeah, I know.
that they were great Americans.
Oh, yeah.
So
So how do you punish that level of white privilege? That's a different level. It's easy to punish like the
How do you punish that level of white privilege? Is Charlemagne, is he white privileged? What's your definition of it? So that's how you get this weird definition, white privilege. And is that dude white privilege? That's not my term, Charlemagne. I'm asking how you use that term. Obviously, it's used to mean political enemy. Obviously, it's used to mean the guy I'm allowed to go after. This is embarrassing. And then you're going to have Larry Elder on your show and ask him about nigga moments? Nigga, that was your nigga moment. Right there. Licking the boot of Jonathan Greenblatt in the ADL.
and he told them afterwards that he loved them, that they were great Americans. So
how do you punish that level of white privilege?
That's your nigga moment right there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll digress real quick. So I'm not gonna play the whole clip, but yeah, that same person. Forget about even the Brandon, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. Forget about that. So it was Larry Elder and the Breakfast Club. So let's take a look at both of these situations. Oh, I'm not sharing that. Hold up. That whole conversation was actually good. I did go back and listen to it. There were a lot of good spots in that with Larry Elder and Charlemagne the God. And Charlemagne the God is very talented. He's very good. But he has no choice but to be in this world.
Let me ask you a question. What do white people do wrong, Larry Elder?
What do you mean? What do white people do? I'm not worried about white people. I'm worried about what's going on with us.
But if there's systemic racism in this country, which we know it is.
No, I don't say there is. You say there is. I don't believe that.
Oh, you don't believe there's
No,
systemic
there
racism?
used to be, obviously. Tell me
see the
what
energy
you think.
there?
Number one systemic example of systemic racism.
So he's talking about systemic racism and white people, and he's got Jonathan Greenblatt there and has none of that for him. None of that energy.
Is in America.
Oh man, there's so
This
many.
seems to be the most important one.
If at the top of mind, I probably say maybe mass incarceration, maybe.
Really? During the Great Depression, when 50% of black adults were unemployed, you didn't have this kind of mass incarceration. It's the breakdown of the family. There's a direct.
I'm not going to. I agree with the family part. I'm a black man who is a father to his children, and I'm a
Right.
happily married
Right.
black man.
And here's the clip here. If you haven't seen it, a lot of people have.
Call.
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are. Have you ever heard of the term "nigga wake up call"?
No.
It is an.
I forgot it was a wake-up call. I thought it was a nigga moment.
Have you ever heard of the term "nigga wake up call"?
No.
Have you ever heard of the term "nigga wake up call"?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you ever had any of that? Just asking.
And that's the same dude that has him on the show here.
Trump has Americans. So
how do you punish that level of white privilege? That's a different level. It's easy to punish like the comedian or the rapper, but how do you punish that level of privilege?
I think the whole country is still trying to figure that out.
That's the perfect way to end that clip. It's just like, what do you want me to do? Vivek Ramaswamy had a little bit of a back and forth with Mike Pence on this. Here's a clip, and it's on the topic. We're switching over to adjacent topics here. Vivek Ramaswamy.
Will you use military force to stop Iran? Because if you watch history, the only time they stopped the nuclear plan was during the Bush administration, because then they were afraid he's going to attack them. And
we will
no
not
sanctions helped.
We will not stop Israel from defending itself to the fullest capacity. And we remain supportive of Israel because they are our friend. I think it's really important that the U.S. not put our own men and women on the line in a war with Iran, when in fact there's no reason for us to be in that kind of war now. And I don't think that's good for the United States, and I don't think that's good for Israel. But what we do need to do is to make sure that Israel is strong so that Iran isn't emboldened. This is an Ayatollah in Iran that would rather Israel not exist. Let's just call that truth out for what it is. And so Israel needs to be in a strong position to defend itself, and the United States will be at Israel's back. But I think that that's a very different thing from automatically sleepwalking ourselves into war. I'm an anti-war president, and the way I'm going to do it is by deterring war, be it ending the war in Ukraine, be it deterring China. These are important elements of why I think it's important to be strong, but in a way that doesn't accidentally walk us into wars that we don't belong in.
Nothing wrong with that clip at all, but here's Mike. You will believe this, but Mike Pence comes over the top and he says this. Am I sharing this? He comes over the top and says this. Vivek Ramaswamy announcing that he will not use military force to defend Israel against Iran demonstrates a profound lack of understanding about defending American interests and our most cherished ally. That's not what he said. And Vivek came over the top on Mike Pence and said, yeah, I would use military force. I wish that's what Vivek was saying. He was trying to say, I'm a peaceful president, but still have the credibility to say we would use military force. But look at Mike Pence. I want to focus on Mike Pence. He starts out this comment here attacking Vivek because he doesn't want war. That's what he's attacking him on. Weakness arouses evil. Vivek's hesitation to send a clear message of support to Israel. What else did you want him to do to show support to Israel? Will only embolden the radical Islamic mullahs in Tehran, and they continue to target innocent American civilians and threaten to annihilate Israel. Peace comes through strength. America stands with Israel. I have no problem with. I like what Vivek was saying. He's like, well, we can have friends. I'm fully for having friends, but they got to come with the understanding that we ain't throwing down for you. There's no money, and we're not throwing down for you. That obviously is not Vivek's take. So even Vivek, who I don't even know how to pronounce his name anymore because I always said Vivek, even he is too soft for people. I always bring this up, but I guess I'm in my feelings about it. I don't live in Florida, but transferring over to DeSantis, Michael Tracy talked about it back when it was a thing, when it first happened. Wait, DeSantis went to Israel last week and signed an expansive new hate crime bill into law, which I thought conservatives objected to on principle. And just for complete clarity, he signed into law a bill that applies to Florida while physically in Israel. Incredible. Even Ron DeSantis. So Trump does crazy pro-Israel Jewish type stuff. During Israel visit, Governor Ron DeSantis signs legislation to fight anti-Semitism and support Israel. He's the governor of Florida. House Bill 269 create recourses for law enforcement to fight anti-Semitism and demonstrate Florida's commitment to doing business with Israel. And he shows that he's in Israel and signing a bill for Florida. He's definitely not American first, that's for sure. Not that there's everything, Trump didn't do that, but wasn't that far away. He did his own anti-Semitism bill. almost like they have to. It's almost like Linda Yaccarino, Elon Musk. It's almost like they have to bend the knee. And that's why Jonathan Greenblatt said, Linda came to me. She came. That's why I thank Linda for coming to me. Just to make sure that he had it out there like she came to lick my boot. That's a World Economic Forum battle. Let me know what you think. Yeah, let's talk about that. I think, why is Israel your friend? I think it's fine to have friends. I am not an expert in geopolitics. We all know about the enemies out there of American government. I don't know why they need to be enemies. I like the Chinese approach. I really do like their diplomatic approach. Their approach is, we don't want to have beef with anybody. They might think you're the dumbest country in the world. They might think you're Neanderthals. But they can work out trade agreements with you and deals with you. And that's what the diplomacy should be. So I don't... You look at China, why would China be friends with Russia? Just because they don't want to be enemy. Why? It's more efficient to be friends than enemies. And they're not a threat to China. The U.S. is somewhat of a threat to China, so that's where you're getting that tension in the world. And I think a lot of people have a good point when they say the World Economic Forum, really their goal is to have a soft transition of world power from the U.S. to China without too much bloodshed. We have already got bloodshed. We're already in World War III, but they're trying to minimize that. And once China becomes a world power, then that's when the Constitution is going to probably, they'll have more power than they do already over the U.S. and pretty much erode the Constitution, is what the goal is to me, through the free speech, not with any weapons. No country wants problems with the U.S. and weapons. It's just too many problems, too many guns. Bazoo says, look, I agree Israel had done some bad things. Where do you want them to go? Egypt. I'm not anti-Israel. I just don't care. I'm not there to support them militarily, or any country military. That's a universal. And I had to think through that, because at one point I said we should defend Taiwan because Taiwan has a lot of interest as far as like our lives would be turned upside down. If you snapped a finger and China just took over Taiwan tomorrow, our lives would be turned upside down, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because of just based on the chips alone. And then what about the Taiwan Strait over there? Goods would be more expensive. I don't care. We got plenty of time to rectify that. No, I'm not good. I'm not good with fighting any country. So Vivek said he wanted to take the U.S. military, I believe, to the border of Mexico. I'm not for that, but that is not the same as warmongering. Some people got that wrong to me. If the cartels, but they're in bed with the CIA, if the Mexican cartels are in war, they're getting funded by China, but they're at our border bringing over drugs and trying to basically take advantage of our country, being the coyotes of bringing over illegal immigrants, that's an act of aggression at our border to the United States. If somebody says they want to take the military and go down there, that is not the same. That is a defensive stance. The Mexican drug cartels are attacking the U.S., and the defensive stance is to take the military and go down there at the border. This isn't in Ukraine. This isn't thousands of miles away. So I think that's a completely different, you can disagree with it, but don't put that in there as, a lot of people I saw were saying, well, I thought you were against war. No, that's not war. That's a self-defense issue. So it's a legitimate take to say, that's what the military is for. Somebody run up in your borders. It's not always going to be running up in the border with a gun, or like the British soldiers walking down the street in formed lines with the rifle and the musket and here I come. That's not how that works. So if they're at the border declaring war on us via these means, then you can do so when I say peace, libertarianism, peace, the opportunity for prosperity and decentralization, it's late at night. Cut me some slack. I have 2 coffees in to stay up and do this. The sacrifices I make for what? To put the ideas out into the ether. But the peace part of it does not mean you don't defend yourself. It absolutely does not mean that there's no defense. That doesn't mean there's no military. Oh yeah. When you strike back from a direct attack, that is a defense mechanism. That is still peaceful. Metalopoly says, I care about Israel because of biblical prophecy. But okay, I agree with that. Besides, it's the only Jewish nation on earth and is surrounded by hostile Muslim nations. They have a right to exist. Doesn't make them good guys, though. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Anything in that. I can't get too much into the Middle East because I'm not. They got history going back since the beginning of time over there, going to war and fighting. I mean, that's just historical stuff. But I will say, yes, Israel has biblical prophecy. I agree with that. But we're born here in the United States. I'm not picking up any gun for Israel. That's for damn sure. Or having my children pick up a gun for Israel. But we're giving them money. It's the same type of thing. I don't like it. Bazu says, "Oh, one of the better deep thinking channels. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes I don't. Those comments help you out to get a little pick me up. Sometimes you're like, man, I'm not that. If you're streaming, I think it's very common for people to be like, damn, that's kind of whack. You do a whack show or whatever, especially when I'm doing it at night. The night thing is a compromise to make sure that I'm not, ignoring any family duties during the day and stuff like that. So while everybody's asleep, all I'm sacrificing is a cost. The cost is a full night's rest of sleep. But that's what like Elon Musk does, and if you're really passionate about something, you make it work. Elon Musk slept in the factory, Tesla. That's why I use him as an inspiration. CEO. He's like, I'm going to make this thing work. The company was about to fall apart. SpaceX was about to fall apart. Metalopoly says, it's not the Jews that are the problem. No, let me make sure that that's clear. The ADL is a problem. And I will say this, though. Let me say this. Before I didn't even finish Metalopoly's comment. Anyone, including the Jews, who understand the issues with the ADL and are silent are part of the problem. But no, the Jews are not the problem. That's just asinine, type of position that I would never take. But I thank you for bringing that up to make sure we clarify what we're talking about here. The small group that subscribe to the Talmud and consider everyone who isn't them as goy cattle that are the problem. It's important to make the distinction. They get into. I'm not an expert on that. I've heard from Nick Fuentes. Bryson Gray gets into that as well. I don't know enough to comment on that in particular. I do know it's a good conversation to have that there are some people who are. They convert to Judaism, and it seems to be different than those who were raised as practicing Judaism. And Judaism is one of the only religions that you can kind of tie into. I remember having a Jew. I went to school with a lot of Jewish people, and they would say that my race is Jewish, and that's how Whoopi Goldberg didn't know that. That's how she got in trouble. I knew that because I had friends. I remember my friend telling me that I think that was actually it was either elementary school or high school. I don't remember which one. I don't think definitely wasn't middle school. He said he put races on. I think it was high school. I think it was like 9th grade. I remember one of the smartest dudes I've ever been around. Brilliant. I think he got a perfect, damn near a perfect on his SATs. His name is Steven. Brilliant dude. Oh, snap. Careful putting that comment up on the screen. Osiris. YouTube probably won't like that one. Yeah, YouTube can go F themselves. I am grateful for the opportunity. I'm on Rumble right now. I haven't checked the Rumble. Let me go to Rumble. Shoot. Thank you for bringing that up. Gosh, it's just tough to be going back and forth and all that stuff. Cyan over on Rumble. Cyan says a clip of Trump. Oh, Cyan got the clip of Trump and Shinzo Abe. Let me go and get that real quick. Appreciate you, Cyan. Great friend of the show. Got my back. Wow. Like when I was struggling with my basement flooded a while back, so then I wasn't doing shows. We brought up this Shinzo Abe and Trump dumping fish food into Precious Koi Pond, and I couldn't find the link quickly, and Cyan on Rumble found that. Thank you. But Cyan, when my basement flooded, I was going to do a live with, that was one of the most hyped lives for me personally. I didn't pre-announce it or anything with Carlos, and right before I went into the basement to do that live, we had about an inch or two of water in the whole damn basement. So that live was canceled. Took a while to clean out the basement. And so I didn't do shows for a while. And then after that, I didn't do shows for a while. I forgot why that one was already. I think I was on vacation is why. Yeah, I was in Minnesota. And so I didn't do shows for a while then. So it was a while. But, I wasn't consistent. And then Cyan reached out, went on Locals, and gives donate $20 a month from Cyan. So great friend of the show, and she got my back. Here's the video of Trump and Shinzo Abe, and they're dumping the food out or whatever. So they tried to short clip it, and Trump was just doing what he was doing. I don't know what the tradition is. I forget. I never even looked it up, but there it is. Just another Trump lie. I could do a show with 20 flat out lies, misrepresentations or lies that they've done about Donald Trump. Wow, people just finding out about the channel. Appreciate every person that finds out about the channel coming through. Yo, just recently found you, and I'm digging your style and knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I'm just a bruh, concerned citizen, and it feels like a lot of the people in the chat are just concerned citizens of all different type of backgrounds and ideology. That's what I like. I don't really want a echo chamber. And Jessica Mai, for example, shout out to her. She dropped a comment on the channel. She's a more left-leaning person, Jimmy Dore fan, Cornel West fan. Love that. I like the left as well, the real left. She's part of the real, authentic left. The real, authentic left is real easy to find out who's real or authentic. Like the socialist Ryan Knight. I've interacted with him on X, and I got MAGA in my profile. He doesn't care about that. He doesn't like MAGA. Jen and Peter Hager, they don't like MAGA, but they don't mind having me on because it's like, what's your substance? Are you on some negative stuff, like some, whack stuff, or are you on some real stuff? So I appreciate that. That's the kind of vibe I would prefer on the channel. Need a part-time producer? Thanks. I do, but I don't have that loot, though. So I wouldn't do that. Actually, I had people amazingly offer to do editing and stuff like that. And I say, I just can't, if I don't have the income to do that, to compensate somebody for their time, I just can't do it. But for you to volunteer greatly, or maybe not volunteer, but even offer, I greatly appreciate that. There's a cool website. It's pretty expensive. We're off topic, but why not? Let's share with you. I've been looking for efficiencies, and I talk about artificial intelligence a lot. This is good for creators, but even for non-creators. When I talk about artificial intelligence and what you can do, and when I say it will be the tool of the revolution, what does that mean? What it means is it puts power in the hands of just bras like myself. And let me give you an example. There's this website I just found. It's called appgetmunch.com. It's a weird name, but let me just share with you what it's doing. Expensive. all these stuff. So that's where if you donate, this is also a good thing. If you donate, you do super chats or whatever to the channel. Cyan, thank you, watching on Rumble right now, has donated much to the channel. Where does that money go? Where that money goes, all this stuff that I do from the channel, I'm putting it away and trying to figure out where. I'll do a little bit on improving the website or doing a little bit of this right here. I subscribe to ChatGPT, which is, I can't do a lot of what I do without that right now. It's a tool that when it's down, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So you might think that's crazy, but that's $20 a month. And then this right here, I just signed up for it. I don't know if I'm going to keep using it, but it's really cool. You can put your video in it. So I put over 2-hour long live. This is unbelievable stuff. And it's going to get better and better and better. I put a 2-hour live in there. So I'm going to make this bigger. So I uploaded to this website, Get Munch, appgetmunch.com. They should have an affiliate program. And I'll hawk it, guys. Need help? I was going to tell them I need an affiliate code. That's the help I need, and I'll help this. But I put it so you can plus and then add your video in there. These are very expensive. I'm not going to add a video now because it's really expensive to get up to and to do these. But I do long lives, so I need a lot of hours in there. But you choose how you want to do it. Do you want it formatted for like TikTok or whatever else? So I put a 2-hour video in there, and it says up to 4 gigs, max 4 hours. And you just put the link, and it even does it off of live streaming. So the second I end this, a lot of these apps, they don't let you, this is kind of inside stuff, but when you do a live stream, I don't know what it is on the back end. It's not uploaded to the site yet. When you use the link to upload to another site, it can't do it until like a day or two after that. This one does it the second you do it, it does it. I don't know how it does it. And then what it does is it on its own breaks up your video into shorts, to short videos. Now, some of them come out whack, but let me show you what I mean. So I put in, I had a conversation with Dr. Shiva. Now, this one I have to fix because it didn't focus right. But I didn't do any of this. AI did this. AI gave me a series of 60 clips of my interview with Dr. Shiva. I didn't have to do anything. I paid a monthly charge, uploaded, and it's saying, here are the keywords, here's what's trending. I haven't maximized or used it yet. Plus, it puts the captions on for you. So there are people who are charging a lot of money because I was like kind of just curious. There are people who would charge for this right here, for 60 clips from a long video, the manual stuff you would have to do to go get it. You know, maybe I could do this for people who don't know and charge them, but that's not what I want to do. But people were charging a couple G's to do this. And it takes about 45 minutes to get it, and it's up, and then you got a clip.
For you lately? 0. So what the fuck did Obama do? 0. Talked a big game, and then he basically protected all the big banks.
I voted for him twice. I'm still salty about it.
Yes, like a friend of mine, Ken, said, first he voted for Jesse Jackson, then he voted for Obama, then he was going to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. He goes, I feel like a prostitute jumping from bed to bed. You need to start having some self-respect, man. And so... Yeah.
Well, Dr. Sheen, let me ask, what would you say to the Trump supporters right now? So you see it's ending at the wrong spot, but what you can do is these shorts are like so throwaway. Even though it doesn't end like in a good spot, I could just download that and upload that somewhere to my clips channel. I have a middle MAGA. This is going to be my backup after this one gets nuked. YouTube just brought me back on the scene. The first video after they brought me back on the scene for monetization was Tucker Carlson says that Obama smoked crack and had gay sex. The second video after they monetized me was ban the ADL. Well, I didn't say that. It's trending on Twitter, ban the ADL. So in YouTube, this channel is probably like, it's not going to last too long, but they might let me go over to that backup middle MAGA clips. But I might upload those to the clips channel or some of them here. It's pretty cool stuff. It's all AI doing it. So that's the tool of the revolution, man. I'm telling y'all, and that's just the beginning. It's a great equalizer. People with money are always going to be ahead of the game. They're going to have higher level stuff. But still, I think you're not going to be able to protect the higher level stuff. Someone's going to copy the code and it's going to be on the black market or on BitTorrent or something like that, man. I'm so excited. That's the white pill. I'm trying to work. I'm using ChatGPT to write a book on that topic on how the white pill is AI. I haven't done any work on it in a while, so I got to pick that back up. And I'm not going to make more like a pamphlet. I don't know. I've never released a book, but you know what motivated me to try to write a book through, you can say write a book or co-write with ChatGPT, is Michael Malice's success with his books. It's just motivating. It's motivating to see that. Melopoly says, well, Obama did give the car companies billions of her tax dollars. And when the CEOs used the money to give themselves bonuses, Obama gave them billions more. So there's that. Obama, one of the most disastrous presidencies ever. Ashid Aladdin says, I can help with that. I have video editing experience. Yeah, I can do it. I mean, the video editing that I do is just very basic. You got to get income. And I still need to take more time to, and I could use ChatGPT to help with this too, is building a business plan. You got to have the revenue. And once you get the revenue, then you can invest back in the company to make more revenue. I don't even have a company at this point, and that's something I got to look at. It's not hard to start an LLC or something like that. And in fact, you might need to protect yourself. So when I say Jonathan Greenblatt and the ADL are a disgusting, decrepit, anti-American organization, just to protect myself, just in case I'm a little or nothing, but it's cheap to protect yourself. I don't know how that works. I'm not a legal expert. Hereward the Watchful says Trump is another actor, just like his WWF Vince McMahon fight. Y'all so lost. Here's my thing. I'm not arguing with that. But my point on that when you bring that up is it doesn't matter. Number one, you don't know that for sure. And number two, I'm not even saying you're wrong, the Watchful. I actually appreciate you for saying, hey, in a way, you are looking out for everybody else, saying, like, why are you running up on Trump? That's what Dr. Shiva said. But my thing is, I don't know that for sure, and I don't care. If he does what I need him to do, then what does it mean? If you try, that's why I told MAGA, and I'm talking about it like I can talk to MAGA, but you know what I mean. That's why I told MAGA, you've got to make this bitch do something that he doesn't want to do. And I say that on purpose to throw that word in there just to bring him down a notch. Like, I can call you whatever you want. I want to call you. I'm not against you, but I need to know that you will do what we need you to do. Same with Tucker even. That's why I said I need Tucker to talk about Linda Yaccarino. I give Tucker a lot of credit. I big him up, best orator of our time. But I need you to talk about X and Linda Yaccarino. I don't hear you talking about them. I never heard you say that name. If I'm to trust you, I need you to address that. Well, you can say what you want about Vivek. He has addressed every single claim against him. I haven't heard him address the accusation of I guess pump and dump is the accusation on how he got rich, but maybe he has. I just haven't heard it. Ron DeSantis is running out of cash, yo. Yeah, there's that. Let's take a look at it. I got it summarized through, of course, ChatGPT. This is from the New York Times reporting. I believe this reporting, by the way. I don't care that it came through the New York Times. So what? It seems accurate. New York Times reporting. They have this article titled "DeSantis Super PAC's Urgent Plea to Donors. We Need $50 million." How much money did his campaign have raised? How are they out of money? I mean, it'd be like somebody won the lotto and then they're coming to you asking, like, I need a re-up. Do you not budget? Are you running for president? I'm going to look up Ron DeSantis money raised. How much money? Last I looked, it was a long time ago. He raised over $300 million, but him and the PACs. Let me see. I can't find it. Somebody tell me if you know how much money has the Ron DeSantis campaign. I did that back before he announced late last year. I thought the total, if I'm not mistaken, was over $300 million from a headline I saw. I want to just tap dance real quick tap dance is like a radio term for just stalling while I Google Ron DeSantis raised $300 million. I thought it was governor awards $300 million, rejects $350 million from Biden. His $50 million super PAC closes. That's the recent news. Reports raising more than $1 million. Before he ran for president, he had raised a lot of money. And now where is he at? His people are begging for more. Hours before the GOP's first presidential debate, the chief strategist for the super PAC supporting Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign, Jeff Rowe, met with donors in Milwaukee. Jeff Rowe revealed to the donors that they urgently need $50 million. That's it? Why not $150 million? With a significant portion needed before the second GOP debate. Wow, September 27th. So they came crawling on their knees before the second debate. If you want us on the stage, that's not the quote, but it's what it sounds like to me. We need a cool $50 million for what? For you to take more private jets flying around the country to blow? You're running for president, and your campaign seems to be very inefficient. I've seen people do a lot with little. What's Vivek? How much is he? He's not raising anywhere near DeSantis, what DeSantis is doing. That makes me even more upset and more curious as to why. It might sound bad, but why wouldn't you just lie and just say what you know MAGA wants to hear? Why wouldn't you just lie? And would it really even be that much of a lie to say? Because you're kind of trying to say what MAGA wants to hear just without being MAGA. Why? Just burning money. This is a puzzling campaign primary for Ron DeSantis. The super PAC never backed down, has taken over many of DeSantis' campaign functions due to the official campaign's lack of funds. His campaign has a lack of funds, so the PAC has to take over? And you want me to vote for you? What's happening? You got to address this stuff. And I don't pretend to know. I think this is accurate. I don't know if it's accurate, but what makes me think it's accurate is that you don't address it because it's embarrassing. If it wasn't embarrassing, you would address it. I'm talking about you, Ron DeSantis. It's disqualifying. They had audio. The audio recording of the meeting highlighted the challenges faced by the DeSantis campaign. Rowe, for some reason, provided a critical assessment of other Republican candidates. I don't need to hear about that. What is that? I need to find out where's the money go. Rowe emphasized the importance of winning Iowa for the DeSantis campaign. That ain't happening. Does it feel like it's going to happen? They already raised and spent significant amounts with Rowe, making a bold request for an additional $50 million. And they just have these super PACs. Andrew Yang had the great idea. Like, with the problem with our America, you think Trump, you think these guys are going to be the answer to the problems when they have to get on their knees and beg for $50 million? He's not making this on small donations. It's billionaires, big money guys giving him the money. He doesn't answer to you. He's not going to answer to you. It's not possible. If I raise all this money for you, you come to me on your knees, you need another $50 million, you are mine now. And unless you're lucky and these billionaires, what they want from you is for you to listen to the people, which we know that's not the case, then they are listening to them. So that's why you're going to sign bills in Israel for Florida and other crazy things. Andrew Yang had that idea. Andrew Yang, voting bucks. It's something like that. Democracy dollars. I found it. Yes, I hate when I can't find what I want to find. Andrew Yang, what a great idea. So what Andrew Yang saw was this happening, even though he's bitch made. It's disappointing, but he's one of the best ideas. Andrew Yang and Larry Sanders, not Larry Elders, the Libertarian Larry Sanders and Andrew Yang are some of the best idea guys out there. At least they used to be. At least, well, Larry Sanders still is, but Yang, I don't know what. I haven't followed Yang since he. Remember, he gave that moment of love to Liz Cheney. I went ham on him. I think I did a live calling him bitch like 20 times. Moving along to the good stuff. Democracy dollar still up from Yang 2020. I have my Yang hat. I know where it is. It fell behind my bed, and I just left it there, collecting dust. The trend over the last half, I'm going to read a lot of this. I really like this. I revisit this probably a couple times a year. It's just a superb idea. The trend over the past half century has been to allow unfettered spending in elections. This culminated in the decision made in Citizens United allowing unlimited money to be spent by corporations in elections. It's no surprise that this has resulted in mega donors flooding the pipes of our democracy. We need to diminish the influence of that mega wealthy individuals and companies that have in our elections, while we must push for a constitutional amendment to allow our campaign finance laws to properly limit the power that the top 1% have. We must act much faster to save our democratic processes. To do so, we must make it possible for all Americans to contribute to candidates they feel strongly about. This is such a good idea. Please listen to this. And poke holes if you don't agree. In order to drown out the voices of the few who can spend millions of dollars to influence our politicians, the easiest way to do this is to provide Americans with publicly funded vouchers they can use to donate to politicians that they support. Every American gets $100 a year to give to candidates. Use it or lose it. These democracy dollars would, by the sheer volume of the U.S. population, drown out the influence of mega donors. So you would be trying to get people who didn't even vote. Because you could spend, I think under his plan, you get a $100 voucher and you can divvy it up to whoever you, I think you could do, I don't know if it's all or nothing, but that's besides the point. I think it'd be cool if you could divvy it up. Because I would give some to, who knows? Maybe Carrie Lake would have to run if everyone said, we want her instead of Trump. I don't think that would happen, but you know what I mean. Cornel West would have a better chance. It would be better for everyone. And the money the people have to donate would outshadow the PAC's money that they have to donate. Whoever donates the most money is who you answer to as a politician. That's why they want all the money to Ukraine. The military-industrial complex, along with the big pharma and all these people, donate through these PACs to these politicians, and they can't cut where their bread is buttered. What a brilliant idea. You'd have to cut spending from other places to get this done. This is government funded. But I think it's worth it. Imagine running for office when every American has 100 democracy dollars to give to their favorite candidate. Just 10,000 supporters could mean 1 million for your campaign. And the better your ideas, then the less money you need. I talked about Mark Kelly needed a ton of money to beat Blake Masters because he has bad ideas and Blake Masters has better ideas. And 1 million. Imagine if Comic Dave Smith had in another life had decided to run. How much could he make? Eric July might be like, let me get my, he wouldn't want to be president. He's more ANCAP, but Eric July would be like, shoot, I can get 10,000 supporters to get me to, who knows who would run for president if you could do that. Jesse Ventura and other, it'd be, and even if you don't agree with these guys politically, the more competition, the better. Could you imagine that? What Andrew Yang is doing here is destroying the party system. I can't poke a hole through this. This is just excellent. It's just an outstanding idea. Once selected, you could act primarily in the interest of the people you represent. You would have to, instead of appeasing wealthy donors and corporations. Calling rich people for money is soul crushing. So I asked, what does Thomas Massey do all day? I don't know if he does or not, but most of them, they just on the phone calling people for begging them for money. We'd all be better off for it if politicians only needed to worry about representing the people that elected them. It has been used in Seattle to great effect. I forgot about that. And we can take their program national move towards publicly funded elections. I have to look that up. I never looked that up. I'm not sure about that. I believe him. I believe him on that. I just didn't know that. So he breaks it down into, guys, look how good this is. This is like ideas don't win elections. We know that. But the money is what the problem was. Andrew Yang had such a vibe. I voted for Yang. If you don't know, in 2020, it feels stupid now. The guy I voted for 2020, within less than a 2-year span, tweeted about how he backed Liz Cheney. But look at the goals. That's how you problem solve. What is the problem you're trying to solve? Problems to be solved. Under current Supreme Court jurisprudence, individuals can contribute huge amounts to influence elections and politicians. Amending the Constitution to prevent this or nominating judges to overturn it can take decades, and this is corrupting our democracy now. Clear problem. Goals. What's the solution? Limit the influence of mega donors. This is basically a brief version of the problem. Allow the will of the people to show through. And as president, brief breakdown. So he had the full paragraph, the problem, the goals, and then as president is like the short cycle, like the on stage, provide every American voter with $100 democracy dollars for each election cycle, a voucher they can use to support candidates of their choosing. This amounts to $23 billion nationwide per election, allowing the will of the people to outfund the $6.5 billion spent on federal races in 2016, $1.6 billion of which was dark money. Amazing stuff. Thank you for keeping that up there, Andrew Yang. Drew Pater says, the rich manipulate it anyway. You think the rich would manipulate it? This is Osiris' channel. He can talk about whatever he wants. Did we have a question here? Oh, okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. Hear word, the watchful. And I'm very big on getting feedback. That's how you can adjust, because you don't have perspective when you're behind the mic. You don't have perspective, and you don't know, like, well, how do people view you in the channel without feedback? I appreciate you too, Metalopoly, and I do appreciate this feedback. Here, word says, I missed I think you're referring to libertarian content. You have since named your channel after the fake right. Yeah, it's been, it's hard to label what I am. And I have, I usually have my laptop with the Libertarian sticker on there just as a virtue signal. Love the Libertarian Party. I will do more videos on the Libertarian Party. Here's the reason why I haven't done many videos. I'm now just getting more consistent. So I will need to do more videos on libertarianism. But here I bring the MAGA topics, and I bring just a very basic idea of libertarianism to that. And I think the best mix is MAGA and libertarianism. Here's the thing with libertarianism is the Mises Caucus took over the Libertarian Party. That was great. And now it's the harder part is, that was a very hard part. That was very hard. But now the harder part is gaining traction to be relevant politically. And maybe I need to revamp the echo chamber I'm in, but I'm not getting a lot of them poking through to my poking through to my feed or my news where I'm getting my news. So when I just go with what I'm passionate about, but that's good feedback. I will want to do more libertarian focused things, but I don't even call myself a libertarian. Just to be clear, I have a sweater that says MAGA libertarian on it. The MAGA is smaller than the libertarian, but yeah, appreciate the feedback. Let's go. Metalopoly says corporate power and government combined working in tandem to control the citizenry. Wait, isn't that basically the textbook definition of fascism? Yep, I found the fascists y'all keep yelling about. Yep, that is for sure. Yep, and I like, so Andrew Yang obviously is not a libertarian, but his ideas are to uphold the Constitution, and that's where I'm more at. MAGA is the most beautiful and incredible political movement that has ever been created and existed in the history of I don't know the world politics, but I do know in the U.S. from my knowledge. So that's why I would definitely associate myself more with MAGA. But part of the reason why I call myself middle MAGA is you see I have positions on the left. I guess you could call left. And I very, very, very strongly believe in the principles of libertarianism, not necessarily the party. So you see, I'm all over the place. On abortion, legislatively on abortion, I am pro-choice. People go after me on that. And personally, I'm pro-life. I don't know why people go after me on that, but there's a lot of things that I think should be legal that aren't for me and my family. And we have to be able to respect each other. For me, I think it is a human life form from the minute it's a cell. I think it's a human life. But everybody doesn't believe that. And on top of that, it's human life inside of another human life. So the host of the human life has the final say. And that's consistent to me for my pandemic take. I'm the host of my body. You can't inject anything in it. You shouldn't be able to force anything in it that I don't want. So I'm consistent on it. I think people on the right and the left are both inconsistent. Same with the transforming children. If a doctor is willing to do it, it ain't none of my business. Obviously, it's not for me. So what? It might be for somebody else. And if we want to stay together as a society, it has to be that way. You can't federally ban it or federally say it's okay and live harmoniously. It's not possible. Jordan Lott, I was just thinking about you too, talking about the liberty. I got to do more. I do have to do more. You know what? The other part of it too but Jordan, Dave's not running though. We talked about that, but that's what I could do on a future live is really talk about and celebrate Dave Smith, even though, because we were waiting, Jordan Lott, we were both waiting for Dave Smith to announce, and then for us to do like a full blown, like 3-hour live, just talking about the history of the libertarian movement, the party, the Mises Caucus, Michael Heiss, Robbie the Fire Bernstein, Angela McArdle, and everybody else involved, and like what they've done and where they're going, and Comic Dave Smith, how he's the best voice for liberty out there, and celebrate it and say, hey, he's going to make this mark on this presidential run. He's going to be the Ron Paul of 2024. But why can't we still celebrate it? We can still celebrate. Dave Smith just launched his comic special. I saw that his podcast was trending like #1 on Spotify or something like that. I talked about that yesterday. And even if he's not running for president, #1, he's probably doing, I didn't hear the reason. I didn't even hear if it's official, but that's what it sounds like. #1, he's doing what's good for his family, which is something to celebrate. We need that. Family's most important. And #2, he still has his cultural impact. He's still making impact. He's still getting around, doing the tours, still preaching liberty. Why can't we celebrate that? So we will. I don't know when. I got to get my thoughts together, but we will. Jordan Lott says, Dave freaking Libertarian Smith, baby. Let's go. I love Jordan Lott's energy, man. We need that type of positivity, and like, we will win. type of energy. I love it. I love it. Let me see. I think I do have. Should I end on this topic? No. I'm going to end on a meme video, but just a short. I just saw this and thought it was funny. This is on the Mitch McConnell stuff from yesterday. Should I do this or should I not? Mitch McConnell. The Mitch McConnell stuff is tough. For me, it's tough because you're like, damn, this bro almost died like right in front of our very eyes.
Mitch, you dead again. Can you, Mitch? You dead again. Hold on, y'all. He dead a little bit. Mitch, hey, you died one more. Remember we told you not to die. No, they said is you gonna run again, Mitch. Mitch. They're catching on to. Hey,
Mitch, he's to your left, not your right.
Racism. Just wakes up. Racism.
Ooh.
They're like, he's back.
There he is.
4 more years. 4 more years.
The South shall rise again. I don't feel bad for him at all.
I know.
I can do it easily.
You said it. You said that you didn't. I mean, I do think there's a devil in him and that somebody needs to go and get it out of him.
No, he's practicing for Beyonce.
That's all you
He's
said.
like, I'm going to be on mute early. He don't even.
So Beyonce is doing some silence challenge, I think is what they're referencing there. But I'm gonna be out with a meme from follow this memester right here. How does she only have 35,000 followers? She's got to be shadow banned, deboosted, everything in the works. There's no way. There's all kinds of people on X that have like 60, 70. I mean, she's a relatively new account, but I mean, this is Lauren Eve, one of the best memesters out here. And the tag is, you can search on Lauren Eve, and the first E is the first E in the word Eve is the number 3. Lauren 3 VE memes. Artist memer, Magadonian loyalist, Dilly meme team. I've played some of her memes before. She's just amazing, just outstanding. I'm gonna leave you out with this. This is her outro, Save America. We love America. She's ours, and she's simply the best.
I call you when I need you, my heart's on fire. You come to me wild and wild. You come to me, give me everything I need. Give me a lifetime of promises and a world of dreams. You speak the language of love like you know what it means. And I can't.
Oh. I messed up my vibe. Let's bring it back. One more once. Let's bring it back. I closed the tab. I'm too old for this, yo. I'm too old. I can't do one lie without doing something stupid. Let's bring it back.
I call you when I need you, my heart's on fire. You come to me wild and wild. You come to me, give me everything I need. Give me a lifetime of promises and a world of dreams. You speak the language of love like you know what it means. And I can't be wrong. Take my heart and make it strong. You're simply the best, better than all the rest, better than anyone I've ever met. And I'm stuck on your heart, hang on every word you say, tear us apart. Baby, I would rather be dead. You're simply the best, better than all the rest, better than anyone I've ever met. And I'm stuck on your heart. I hang on every word you say, tear us apart. Baby, I would rather be dead, 'cause you're simply the best.
Fail when you have an unequal justice system. When you treat one segment of society one way and another segment of society a different way, eventually you lose your ability to work together and to have a cohesive government and to have a cohesive society. So it's incredibly important that we challenge that it isn't just, well, why are you going after this? And it's not fair and you treat Donald Trump differently. Any 3-year-old knows that you should treat everybody the same. That's why we have an equal protection clause in the 5th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. So we need to call these things out for really what they are. The Department of Justice is engaging in blatant politics in violation of the oath of office, again, that those people took. And we need to name names. Governments fail when you have an unequal justice system. When you treat one segment of society.
All right. Well, you know what, Mr. Mayorkas, I actually really want to thank you as well for coming here today, for your performance. I have watched with absolute fascination as you have danced and dodged and lied. Yes, lied. We know you've lied. You know you've lied. But more importantly, the American public knows that you lied throughout your testimony today. And yet you believe that you and your fellow architects of the censorship industrial complex think that you should be able to determine what is and isn't true, and what is and isn't untrue. You are the walking, talking epitome of the very tyrant that our forefathers recognized would gravitate towards government service. And it is because of people like you that they drafted the First Amendment. I thank them for their foresight. I thank them for recognizing that you and people like you would do everything in your power to control speech, to control freedom, to take away our rights. And they've written a document that isn't going to allow you to do that. Unfortunately, we still have courts and judges who recognize that you don't have the power that you are attempting to take, that you do not have the right to limit our freedom of speech, our freedom of association, our right to communicate. Thank God we have the First Amendment so that we can stop you from doing what you've been doing. With that, I yield back.